Good morning, Ultimate Hustlers. It is that time for the Cortez Hustle Show. And today we're talking raising entrepreneurs, right? How important is it for us to introduce our children to entrepreneurship? I've got a panel of beautiful ladies, and that's exactly what they're all doing, headed up by the Momager Boss herself, Miss Arriel Bivens-Biggs. She's going to introduce you to some amazing ladies with some amazing children doing some amazing things in business. Y'all know how I feel, man. I believe that the key to financial success is to find one or two ways to get paid for one or two things that you already love to do, build a brand and a system around it, and you are on your way. So do me a favor, if you're already in business, comment in the chat where you're from, drop the name of your business and or your brand, and smash that share button, ladies and gentlemen, because it is time for us to kick it. Yo, what's up, Ultimate Hustlers, and welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show, the business podcast for the entrepreneur of the 21st century. And I'm your host, Cortez Hustle. Our goal is to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how the world's greatest hustlers build amazing brands, scale their businesses to incredible heights, sell more, make more, and create mass movements that impact the world. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned vet or you're sitting on the sidelines with aspirations to one day unleash your inner hustle. This show will provide the insights into how pure grit, determination, and hard work has morphed into some of the most iconic brands and personalities and how they are moving the culture forward. You'll get a mix of solo shows featuring yours truly, as well as interviews and content from other hustlers that I either know personally or I've learned from or whose grind I've come to know and respect. And you'll also get exclusive recordings from our membership called Monetize My Life Academy, which you can check out at monetizemylifeacademy.com. That's a program where we go live every month with some of the best hustlers on the planet, sharing best practices on how we all can explode our brands with advanced branding and marketing tactics, business development strategies, and financial game planning necessary to build the empires we all desire. Again, that's at monetizemylifeacademy.com. If you like today's episode, chances are the hustlers you're connected to will like it as well. Share it with those in your network. And when you do, use hashtag Cortez Hustle so I can see you and hopefully give you a shout out and share you in my stories. So check out today's episode and make sure you subscribe to the feed on your favorite podcasting networks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am, of course, your host, Cortez Hustle, also known as the one and only financial health mentor, everybody's favorite fatherpreneur from monetizemylifeacademy.com. It is the premier digital marketing mastermind for entrepreneurs. Listen, if you want to grow your brand and you know that you got to be online, you know that you got to have some sort of social media marketing strategy, you got to have email marketing, sales funnel systems, all of the things that make you a successful entrepreneur in the 21st century, but you don't know where to start, let me tell you. Start with monetizemylifeacademy.com. You can try the system for $1 for your first 30 days. You get access to courses, you get access to live trainings, and you're basically part of a mastermind community of other entrepreneurs doing the exact same thing, marching down the same road, and we'll share best practices and how we're all getting there together. monetizemylifeacademy.com. We're talking raising entrepreneurs, man. I have a panel of beautiful women today who's going to talk about what they're doing to raise entrepreneurs in their families without robbing the children of their childhood, which I think is kind of something you got to be aware of. But in the meantime, if you're already in business, comment in the chat where you're from. Drop the name of your business and or your brand. And if you have not already shared this stream, then shame on you people. One of our biggest problems we have in our community is the hoarding of information. Ladies and gentlemen, we can no longer afford to hoard information. So hit that share button, tag some folks in your circle that you know have kids that might have that entrepreneurial bug. Couple quick announcements before we get the show underway. I've been teasing you guys about financially lit fathers. and it is 90% ready, y'all. This is a Facebook community and a movement that we're putting together where we're going to raise the financial IQ of our fathers and men in our community so that they can learn how to build generational wealth. They can learn how to make money more effectively and more efficiently. Because let's face it, men, if you can make the same amount of money you're living on today in half the time, it gives you more time to spend with your family and more time to spend in the community, helping to raise all of the other fatherless children in the community and impart this wisdom on to them. So be on the lookout for financially lit fathers. Also, for those of you who are in a position where you're like, hey, if I had another stream of income, I'd be okay. Well, the fastest way to building wealth, in my opinion, our tool for fighting, or our weapon for fighting the war on poverty, is a home-based business. If you're looking for another stream of income, I want you to comment home-based business. And I've got a special program that I want you to partner with me on, where we're going to bring financial literacy to our communities as a whole, but through entrepreneurship. So comment home-based business if you're open to adding another stream of income to your household. So now it's time to get to it, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, when I tell you that this young lady that I'm about to introduce to you, and she's going to introduce our panel for this morning. She's an amazing mom herself. She's an amazing entrepreneur herself. And she's a fighter, man. When I tell you that entrepreneurship is warfare, I truly mean it. But a lot of people get it twisted. They think entrepreneurship is about warring against other businesses. No, the war that you have to fight in entrepreneurship is against yourself. You got to fight some internal battles. It takes courage to do this thing. And this young lady has a ton of it. So let me introduce to some and present to others my good friend and buddy, Madam Arriel Bivens-Biggs. Good morning, Arriel. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm excited. I'm excited that I get to share the stage with other phenomenal mom entrepreneurs that are raging young entrepreneurs.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, before we get into all the stories and all that kind of stuff, let's have you introduce these phenomenal women and let's bring them onto the panel.
Yes. So first, let's bring on Jen. We have the phenomenal Jen. We have
good morning.
And we have Anissa. We're going to bring on Miss Anissa.
Good morning.
Miss Chanel.
All right.
And Miss Letitia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, ladies. Well, welcome to the Cortez Hustle Show. I am super stoked to have all of you hanging out with me this morning. I'm like the biggest capitalist that you will ever want to meet. So I love entrepreneurship. And I think it is the path to wealth, especially for those of us who are building wealth from scratch. Now, if y'all sitting on an inheritance coming y'all way, then y'all don't need to be on this show. This show is for people who are building wealth from scratch. And I think entrepreneurship is the way to go. So before we get into your stories and who you actually are, we like to start this Cortez Hustle Show with a quote of the day. I'm going to give you guys one of my favorite quotes. If you guys have your favorite quote, you can share or you can chime in and your thoughts on this one. But this is one of my punch you in the mouth quotes, right? America is business. If you don't have a business in America, you might as well be a foreigner in your own country. And that is a Cortez Hustle original quote. So Arriel, we'll start with you. Do you have a favorite quote or you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I'm going to chime in on that one. Yeah, you're a foreigner in your own country. I agree with that. I feel like you're out of place if you don't own a business at this time in our society, if we're talking about building wealth.
Absolutely. Jen, you got your own quote or you want to chime in on that?
I just wanted to chime in as well. I feel like America is based on business. So all of the laws and the taxes and everything favor businesses. So it's a matter of deciding what side you want to be on. Do you want to be favored or not?
I mean, I love the way you said that. You want to be favored or not? Because we know favor isn't fair, but who cares, right? Letitia, you got your own quote or do you want to chime in on that one?
I'm going to give my own quote because I'm an educator. You know, I'm always thinking about how knowledge affects us. So an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And that is a quote from Benjamin Franklin.
Ooh, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. Love it, love it, love it. Miss Chanel.
Yes, I'm gonna go with one of my own, with a quote of my own. It always seems impossible until it's done. A lot of times we make things in our mind until we actually do it.
Yeah, I love that one. I have one that says, it's an ancient African proverb. He who says it can't be done need not get in the way of the person doing it. Right?
Love that. Love that.
Miss Anissa, you got your own quote or you want to chime in?
I do, but I want to chime in on yours. There is so much opportunity in this country. There's no reason why we can't use our passions and our talents to profit off of it. So yep. I love that quote.
Awesome, awesome. Go ahead and hit yours.
I always take it back to the Bible. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything with prayer and supplication, make your request known to God. So I think we can do anything with the help of God. That's my favorite quote.
Yeah, man, I love it. And that makes me think of one of my mom's quotes. She says, the will of God is voice activated.
Love it.
You don't say it, you don't get it.
That's right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I love that. So that is 1 minute more, the quote of the day right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by my good friend, Brian Keith McNeils. He's a sales confidence coach, and he wants to help you know how to get a client, no BS, the art of gaining new clients on demand. This is a free masterclass going down next Monday. No fluff. Sell more in less time, master closing the deal. All you got to do is go to howtogetaclientnobs.com to register for that free event. So let's find out a little bit more about these ladies, Arriel. First, let's start with you. Who are you? And tell me a little bit about your kid entrepreneur. 90 seconds.
Okay. I'm a boss, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I run a nonprofit, Young Biz Kids, and my kid entrepreneur is the youngest vending machine owner in the United States. And then also I have a young daughter who owns her own business also. Nice.
Jennifer, who the heck are you, and who is your kid entrepreneur, and what do they do?
Perfect. So my name is Jennifer Cruz. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, where I own a photo booth company that services corporate and community events. That's Pretty Phenomenal Photo. And then my son is Rico of Rico's Rock and Pop, and he makes fancy popcorn.
Nice. Love it. Rico's Rock and Pop. I like that. Letitia, who the heck are you, and who's your kid entrepreneur, and what do they do?
I'm Letitia Jordan. I am the co-owner and COO of Achieve Success Tutoring, where we provide tutoring and test prep services, as well as a virtual homeschool academy. And I am the mommy of mini mogul Bella Noel, who is the youngest published author in the world.
Love it. Chanel, my friend, same question. Who the heck are you, and who's your young entrepreneur, and what do they do?
Yes, I'm Chanel McCullough. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a parent manager of Zanaya McCullough. She created Islandi Beauty, which is a beauty brand that supports girls who love and rock their natural curls.
Love it. Anissa, last but certainly not least, who the heck are you, and who is the young entrepreneur that you're raising, and what do they do?
Absolutely. Again, my name is Anissa Wright from Houston, Texas. I am a financial coach, and my daughter is the 13-year-old CEO of Jabriel Handmade Goods. She sells natural bath and body care for teens.
Love it. So we're talking entrepreneurship and raising this next generation with entrepreneurship in mind. I want to go back to you guys' history, though. Were you guys all young entrepreneurs, or were you in a situation where entrepreneurship wasn't even introduced to you like it's not to so many of our children? Let's start with you on this and go back the other way.
Absolutely. You know what? I was always taught, go to school, graduate, go to college, get a job, right? That's the direct path that most of us have been taught to do. I was not introduced to entrepreneurship until I became an adult. So I think it's very important that we teach our kids about entrepreneurship, financial independence early, because there's multiple ways to earn wealth. And entrepreneurship, I think, is the primary way. So no, I wasn't introduced as a child, but I'm excited to introduce my children to entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I talk about school, and I know we have an educator on the line, and I have no problem with education as much as I have a problem with the current educational system and what's being taught primarily, right? Because they tell us to go to school, get educated, get a job. At one hand, they're saying entrepreneurship is risky, but on the exact other hand, they're saying, here's how you ask an entrepreneur for a job, though, right? They don't teach us entrepreneurship, but they teach us how to fill out an application, which is asking an entrepreneur for a job. They teach us about resumes and all of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting that that's not, and we know why that is, but that's a whole nother conversation for another time. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and too, entrepreneurship being risky, it's risky to rely on someone else for a paycheck too. As we recently found out with the COVID pandemic, people have lost their jobs, and because they were depending on someone else to provide that source of income. And so we really have to rethink what risk is. Do we want to rely on ourselves and our own ingenuity to make sure that we're building wealth for our families, or do we want to give that power to someone else?
Yep, absolutely. My girl Nikisha D would say it this way: if you give somebody permission to feed you, you also give them permission to starve you. Chanel McCullough, were you introduced to entrepreneurship as a kid? Did you hustle a little bit as a kid, or did you not get introduced until you were older?
I did not get introduced to entrepreneurship as a kid. Introduced to me as I was older, as my daughters were selling candy in school. I also worked in education for 15 years, and I see how schools use kids to sell their candy and their fundraisers and give them no money at all, but a little bit of prize. But why not have them teach them to do that for themselves? So I was introduced as an adult with my own kids.
Gotcha. Letitia, you are an educator, and I love that you have your own homeschool academy where you can dictate curriculum, and that's so important. That's my problem with school system. I'll tell you this quick story. I have, my sons are 10 years apart. My oldest is 29. I'll be 29 this year. My youngest is 19. At one point, I had a kid in elementary, a kid in middle school, and a kid in high school. Why were all of them in every age studying the same thing? The colonies, right? I'm like, if you in elementary school studying the colonies, you in middle school studying the colonies, you in high school studying the colonies, that means somebody in middle school and elementary didn't do their job, because if you still got to be taught about the colonies, but we of course know that indoctrination is real, and that's part of the process to keep you, in that whole circle and that whole loop. But I'm glad that you have your own academy so you can build your own curriculums and help these babies out. So were you taught entrepreneurship as a kid, Letitia, or was it something that you decided as an adult?
I decided it as an adult. I was like everyone else, taught to go to school, get a job, stay there till you retire. So I didn't start in entrepreneurship until I was an adult. However, we do teach entrepreneurship in our homeschool academy. We think it's extremely important, and we want to make sure that we're building the well-rounded child.
Yeah, and there's so much, like when kids start out in entrepreneurship, I think they have an advantage of understanding why the lessons are important, right? Because I think that's the only reason you couldn't get me to wrap my mind around trigonometry, algebra, because I couldn't connect it to real world application. But if I was an engineer, if I was into robotics, and you tell me that, hey, you'll never get that robot to move if you don't learn this formula, guess what? I'm gonna learn the formula because my love and passion for robotics. I think we've got the game flipped. I think we have to help them identify what they love and then show them why they need the education to pursue what they love. Jennifer, my friend, were you a young hustler, or did you get introduced to entrepreneurship as an adult?
I was the young hustler. So in my family on both sides, someone had a business. Like my grandparents owned a record shop. On the other side, my grandmother sold antiques at fairs. So I was always there. Both of those were, my first jobs and my first experience in business. So, in high school, I sold cakes and everything. Like I've always had a hand in business.
Love it, love it, love it. But again, not from the school system and taught, but modeled in front of you by people in your family. Arriel, I know a little bit about your story, but tell the folks about your young hustle journey.
Yeah, I probably started hustling when I was in elementary school, and then in middle school I sold jewelry, candy, and then in high school I braided hair, and then in college I braided hair through college so that I didn't have to take out a bunch of loans. But I'm in agreement also, even though I was an entrepreneur, school was thrown in front of me because my parents thought that was the best route for me, but I was entrepreneurial from the beginning, but they thought the best path for me was to go to college. And now we're back 10 years later and I'm still in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And let's be clear about this, because I don't want to throw school under the bus. At one point in our history, a college degree created massive separation. So it was a working model at one point in history, but that's because of the scarcity and the number of people who had college degrees. Right. But when you enter student loans and the fact that everybody can now go to college, now everybody has a degree, so there's no separation, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that model has shifted and changed a little bit. And then technology allows me to learn what I need to know to be efficient and what I want to do, and I get straight to the point and not have to take a gang of other classes and stuff that's not relevant to my deal. So like I said, that model worked for a generation, but every generation has its new thing, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the babies into the generation that's going to affect them. We can't keep putting everybody into a 50-year-old model that is now becoming obsolete. So we've got to take a quick break, and this break is for our segment called 1 Minute Motivation. This is where I play a short motivational clip, and I ask you guys to share your quick takeaway or thought from this clip, and I will share a takeaway or thought. And then I want to hear about the journey of each one of these babies, the origin story. How did they come to you with this business idea, and how did you guys support them and make it all work? But before that, let's get into 1 Minute Motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show.
Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Someone talked about it. Won the Tony Award. And I didn't have to sing, by the way. But here's the kicker. It was at the Court Theater. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. The point is, and I'll pick up the pace, the point is every graduate here today has the training and the talent to succeed. But do you have the guts to fail? Here's my second point about failure. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. Les Brown's a motivational speaker. He made an analogy about this. He says, imagine you're on your deathbed, and standing around your deathbed are the ghosts representing your unfulfilled potential. The ghost of the ideas you never acted on. The ghost of the talents you didn't use. And they're standing around your bed, angry, disappointed, and upset. They say, we came to you because you could have brought us to life, they say. And now we have to go to the grave together. So I ask you today, how many ghosts are going to be around your bed when your time comes?
Listen, one of the reasons I love doing this, especially when I have guests on, is because we all just listen to the same clip, but we heard something different. So let's start with Anissa. Tell me real quick, what did you hear? What is one of your takeaways?
Oh my goodness, that we allow fear to keep us from reaching our highest potential. And that is very sad because so many of us have so many talents and so many skill sets that the world needs. But we allow our own doubts, self-doubts, and what we think others will think of us to prevent us from creating those things. And so I got so much from that clip. I could go on, but just, recognizing that We need to step out on faith and believe in ourselves and just do it. So many people are doing it. We need to do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Chanel, what did you take?
I got one thing about bringing things full circle. It started out, he mentioned a place where he failed at with the same place where he was successful at. Sometimes you have to go around and bring things full circle just to see that failure wasn't a failure. It was just moving you forward, you know.
Love it, love it, love it. Letitia, I think you're on mute. There you go.
I apologize. Yes. I love the motivational minute. I think that there is no success without failure. There's no one who can succeed without failure.
You better tell them. You better tell them. Jennifer.
What I got from it is that your vision was placed in you, and that's your contribution to the world. So if you don't bring that vision to life, then it's like you weren't even here. The world would have missed your individual vision.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Madam Biggs.
Yes, and what I got, not sharing your gifts and talents is a major disservice to yourself and to the world. And, you know, I fell in that category for a couple of years, not sharing my talents with the world, and finally decided to. And now I feel the release and the many people that I can touch around the world than me just sitting in my own little bubble, in my own little box. So that's what I got from it. I see that as it happened in my life.
Absolutely. Man, he said you have what it takes, all of us. You have what it takes. I want you to put this in the comments, guys. I am enough, right? And I was listening to my motivation this morning. So part of my routine is I get up, I give thanks, I have my gratitude moment, then I get into my workout, and I listen to some of this kind of stuff as I'm working out. And one of the guys said, you have everything you need to get you where you want to be. But most people don't understand that where you want to be happens incrementally. So you think you have what it takes to go from A to Z. No, you have what it takes to go from A to B. But because I can't go from A to Z, I don't want to go at all. And that's where people are making the mistake at, is like, do not despise humble beginnings. If you go from A to B, you're then going to see C. You go from B to C, you're then going to see D. He says it takes courage to fail. This is where a lot of people are missing the mark, right? A lot of people associate failing with being a failure. Yep. And that's the problem. No. And I can't think of the name of the guy who founded IBM. He said, if you want to succeed faster, then double your rate of failure. Like, fail faster and you will succeed faster. To get where you want to go, you have to do something you've never done. Don't take your dreams to the grave. Another quote from Les Brown. He says, I am here to live full and die empty. And that is 1 minute motivation right here on the Cortez Hustle Show, brought to you by the Momager Boss herself. If you have a kid that wants to be an entrepreneur, then you need to go to workwithariel.com to learn about how you can best manage that child's ability to bring that business to life and take it to the next level. She doesn't work with startups, but if your kid has already got the foundation and you've already been working with the kid and you've come to a wall, well, guess what? She's going to help you break through that wall. Work with Arriel.com. So Arriel, you've worked with these ladies. So I'm going to let you edify some of the amazing things that they have with their children. And basically, this has gone from the Cortez Hustle Show to the Arriel Hustle Show. So I'm going to take myself off screen and let you talk to these ladies about this amazing accomplishment that they have and growing their child entrepreneurs to the next level. All right. Okay. So on you, sis.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it, y'all. I get to be a host. So, but no, seriously, I really wanted you guys to share what that journey was like, working with your young entrepreneurs, knowing where you already started, but when you came with me, how we identified certain things, and then how we aligned them with a certain audience, how we created their brand books, and then how we were able to start creating their authority around their area and having them be the host of YBK Day. So that's the way that we're going to go. So Jen, let's start with you. You want to tell a little bit about Rico and that process as we started to work together?
Okay, so Rico got into business when he was 5. He was selling t-shirts. And a couple of years ago, he got into the snack food business. He started selling popcorn, and then we moved into, right now he sells candied corn puffs. So when I chose to work with you, we needed something to where he could generate more income without making more popcorn. That's what we wanted to do. So that was the goal. And with your help, he has written his brand book, Rico Rocks at Problem Solving. And we are rolling that out now with YBK Day next week.
Yes. And what made you say yes to YBK Day?
He needed to be the face of young business in Las Vegas. So I needed a platform to be able to present him as an authority in the area. And YBK Day was it.
Yes, thank you. Anissa, same to you. Like where you started from, and then when we started working together, what that process was like.
Absolutely. My daughter started business when she was 10 years old, making soaps because she had eczema. So she was making soaps. And so we kind of expanded the product line. And when I came to you, Arriel, we were too, like Jen, looking for an opportunity for her to not only have another stream of income by writing a book, becoming an author, but also making her authority in her area as promoting young entrepreneurship, especially within the Houston area. And I want to point out that sometimes when we as parents are so close to our children, we want so bad for the perfection to be there, for everything to look a certain way. And working with you actually come in and you see the things that we can't see because we're so blinded by, do it a certain way. And so you were able to really come in and help her develop her book and her brand that way. And so we wanted to do YBK Day because she already had such a huge platform on youth entrepreneurship, but this really allowed her to take it to the next level and support the other youth in the area and give her the platform to grow her brand.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Let me jump to Chanel, and then I'll come back to you, Letitia. Chanel.
So when we started with you, like the other ladies, and I already had her product out, but we wanted to find a way that she could, make more money without creating more products. So working with you brought something out of her that I didn't know and that she had, You brought a passion out of her, that she likes to write and to tell her story in a different way. And the reason why we jumped upon YBK Day, one is that we're new to the Atlanta area. This will put her in a position of authority for youth entrepreneurship in that area. And number two is that we want everybody to know that this is such a huge movement that I wanted her to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it, and I want to spread the word that this is something bigger than just us and our kids. Entrepreneurship can be a way that kids can start breaking generational curses. So I think it was an amazing idea, and I thank you for giving us that opportunity.
Oh, thank you. Letitia. And Letitia is different because when she came, she already had Bella's book. I just kind of sprinkled some little fairy dust on what she was already doing. But when she came, she was already in motion and already had published and got a bunch of accolades about what she did. I just sprinkled a little bit of dust on it. So you want to share, Letitia, where you were and then where we were able to go?
Sure. So we had released Bella's book pre-pandemic, and it wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be. And so I asked Arriel, I said, what can I do? And she said, we're going to relaunch this book. And so you helped us to have a successful book launch. She became a best-selling author at that point, and just kind of come to grips with things that we needed to do to help her move forward. I think you said you sprinkled a little bit of dust, but it was a whole lot of dust on her next planned launch. And so we're just excited for this opportunity. We came lucked up on YBK Day. We came in a little bit later than everyone else. And I think, Arriel, I reached out to you to find out about a vending event, if any vending events in St. Louis, because we were planning out our summer, and that's one of the places we had planned to travel. And you said, I have something better. And so I am so excited about YBK Day. I think it's a great opportunity for Bella. I think it's a great opportunity for any kidpreneur. And we're just glad to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. And I should have said what YBK Day is. So it is Young Biz Kids Day. It's a day where we celebrate all the kid entrepreneurs all over the United States, just celebrating their accomplishments, giving them a chance to showcase their business. And the reason why I did that, it was more of a personal reason, because I only had Young Biz Kids local to St. Louis, Missouri, but I saw all of these other kids outside of St. Louis, Missouri that I just couldn't touch, but I had a desire to touch. So in my mind, I thought, if I can create mini me's of what I do across the world, this would make it so much easier on me if I would just teach one parent to do what I do in their state or in their city, and then allow them to touch those parents that are connected to them. And a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, this is how I do it. I'm already connected to some phenomenal entrepreneurial women that are already doing this. How do I help them to elevate and help them to see themselves as leaders and authority within their area, and then they can also help their kids see that. So I even got my own name for each of y'all. Before I work with you, Jen, I call you Creative Jen, and I think it comes from your photography business, but I'm like, Jen is so creative, like how can I help her with the creativity? I call Anissa Motivation, because every time I talk to you, you always have Bible scriptures and quotes that uplift me too. So I'm like, yeah, she gonna give me the motivation, but her motivation helps me to go. And Chanel, you are so intelligent. Like, I'm just like, I'm always blown away by you. You're very quiet, but then when you do speak and start to talk, I can hear the authority in your voice and how intelligent and knowledgeable you are. And then let me tell you, Letitia, I'm like, when you came to me, I was like, she's already so successful that do you really need my help? But then as we started to talk, it wasn't about needing my help, but just partnering and walking alongside you to help you continue to bring out the best in yourself. So I gave y'all the names that I call y'all just because I want to stay in the right mindset as I'm developing other leaders, that I make sure that I understand your places in my life and the call and what I'm supposed to give to you, but also what you guys give back to me.
That's awesome.
Wait a minute. You can't talk about YBK Day and not talk about the host of YBK Day coming through to sprinkle some, I don't know, can a man sprinkle fairy dust?
No, you can't sprinkle fairy dust, but your way of talking and communicating and getting all the kids and involved and keeping us all excited and knowing exactly what that day means. Because for me, Cortez, it was just like, oh, it's YBK Day, we're doing something. And you like, no, Arriel, this is bigger than just doing something. This is a national event. And what we did not say was that all of these kids are getting proclamations to establish this official day. So this will be an official day on the calendar. Every third Thursday of July will be the official day to celebrate YBK Day. So you have the ability to let other people know and help me to realize this is not just a little thing. This is a huge thing that's never been done before and probably will not be repeated.
Yeah, it is an extremely big deal. And kudos to all of you ladies for investing in your children, investing in yourselves, and partnering with Arriel and latching on to the vision. Sometimes it's hard for us to do, latch on to somebody else's vision and see ourselves as an integral part of that. And because I know you all got your own respective individuality, but latching on to this vision for a YBK Day is so huge because, like I said, we, and I'm going to say we, and I don't want to make this a racial thing, but you can't help but make it a racial thing. Other cultures employ 95% of their culture works within their culture. With us, 95% of us work for another culture. Well, if we're ever going to change that, we have to raise a generation that's going to hire our people. And it starts with YBK Day, y'all. It starts with not only you planting the flag for your family to say, we are entrepreneurs. We are the ones that are going to hire and not be employees. We are the ones that are going to fund projects and lend and not borrow. Well, guess what? Now that you've made that claim and you've declared that over your family, now with YBK Day, you're declaring that you're going to lead that charge for your city. And then ultimately with Arriel's help, because she's got the governor on the phone, she's got the mayor on the phone of St. Louis, she's going to help you declare that in your state and ultimately in your region. And now I can just see YBK Day regional events kind of merging. And then ultimately YBK Day becomes this national phenomenon where children are celebrated. Because here's one thing about the entrepreneurial mind, and I think you guys will all agree, it's different. See, I had the entrepreneurial mind. My uncle owned a candy truck, and all the kids in the family worked on the candy truck. And it was a blessing and a curse for me. It was a blessing that I got to see my uncle, a self-made man, doing his own thing, but he paid me $5 a day. So here's the curse. I had other homeboys who were running the streets, and they like, that's all you get is $5 a day? So I jumped off the candy truck and jumped into the streets, right? Because I didn't raised by a single mom, didn't have that male figure to say, no, you need to be on a candy truck to learn how to do it the right way, right? So that kind of where we are going with this YBK Day is so huge, man, because we need to raise a generation of employers versus employees. So I want each one of you guys to break down how your kid came to you with the idea of their business. And be honest, did you have any reservation? Because I know Arriel almost slapped Mikey's hand away. No, boy, you ain't getting up in the machine. So let's start with you, Jennifer. When your child came to you about entrepreneurship at 5 years old, was that something that you was like, okay, I'm a business owner, I expect that, so let's go? Or were you like, oh, no, you're too young?
I definitely was like, let's go. He got into business when he was 5, like I said, and we decided to sell T-shirts. And that's what he did for a while. But when the popcorn thing came up, that took more time because, honestly, I didn't know anything about it. I had to figure out how to make it. And then we got to go through all of the packaging. And it was a whole thing to learn. So the popcorn was a little bit slower than just, hey, let's have a business. But once he got into it and, we started having fun going to different parts of town, doing pop-ups and that type of thing, it was a lot of fun.
Nice. I love it. Letitia, as an educator, your daughter's book, and I'm sure that might have been something that was already in your head, is how did that come about? And how did you guys go down that path to making that happen?
So because she was so young, she was not, of course, requesting to start a business. I think for us, it was... I wanted to ensure that she remembered things that happened in her childhood. So we decided to create the series, a book series about her adventures. And initially it was just going to be something personal for us just to, hand over to her as she got older. But after speaking with her godmother, who was the co-author on the book, she was just like, no, all kids go through these different things. So let's make it a series and actually publish it. So that's how we decided to start her business. And of course, being an educator, I've always been big on literacy. And we set some high goals for her, from birth. We wanted to make sure that she was reading. I got the math thing down, but I needed to make sure that she was good with reading. And so, part of that was just introducing her to books early, and why not introduce her to books that have her face in them?
I love it. Listen, I've been an influencer for a while. I've been an entrepreneur almost all my adult life. And even as a youth, I'm old enough to remember when gas stations went from full service to self-service. and when they changed the pumps and you had to do it yourself and people didn't know how to do it. So my brother and I would be at the gas station all day. Hey, can I pump your gas for a little change? And that was one of our early hustles, right? We just needed video game money. So we get 50 cents. And then this is my ignorance. I would get 50 cents and I would leave the gas station and go play the game with my 50 cents. I would come back and my baby brother has $5 because he stayed. He kept working. So that was a lesson for me, right? But I think about, I didn't have an Arriel in my life. And I had an idea for a book for my sons called Daddy Said. And I wanted them to all create a chapter based on something that they learned from me or something that they learned from another man in their life to repaint or reshape the picture of brothers who are supposedly not active in their father's lives. And we know that's not true, right? But now that I got an Arriel, I'm going to probably go find me some nephews or something because my sons are too grown, right? But I love that creating, because I'm big on generational and legacy building, not just financial legacy, but you're creating a literacy legacy for your daughter and documenting her life. I love that. Chanel, what about your kid coming to you saying, I want to do this not just for me, but for other women and or for other kids, other girls in general, made you say, okay, I'm going to dive off the deep end with you and we're going to figure this thing out together?
I'm all for supporting my kids and whatever they choose to do. And I took this as an opportunity, like you mentioned, to solve a problem. And being I was an educator, I spoke to other girls in my class, and they was also suffering through the same thing, which boils down to their self-esteem and their self-acceptance. Mm-hmm. So I was all for it, and I did whatever I had to do as a parent to invest in her to make sure that we took it the right way.
Yeah, I love it. And that's so important that sometimes we have an idea of what we want our kids to be, and we forget that they are little human beings, right? Mm-hmm. And they have a gift that God gave them, right? I heard a pastor preach one time on the scripture that says, train a child up in the way that they should go and they won't depart from it, right? A unique spin that really changed my life and the way I see things, because he said, we assume that it means to train up a child in the word of God, right? And it does mean that. But the I don't know if it's the Greek or the Hebrew, actually means train them up according to the way they're bent, right? Meaning according to the gift that God placed in them, you train them up according to that and not according to you wanting to live vicariously through them. Right. There's a reason that my sons play basketball, right? Because that's my favorite sport. But I have to look at, how did God bend them? Where are they supposed to be going with their life? Irregardless if it's not in athletics, I have to identify that and I have to find the resources to steer them in that way, even if those resources don't come from me. So I love that you jump right in with your baby girl and like, hey, we're going to make it happen. We're going to figure it out and we're going to get this thing done. And this sucks. How did it happen for you and your girl?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, it started out with a problem. She had eczema. And so we were trying to solve that problem for her. And I wanted her, after creating the product, she shared it. And I said, you know what, maybe you should try to turn this into a business. And I think one of the most important things about teaching our kids about entrepreneurship is not just building a business right then, it's showing them what they can do. And she was really shy in the beginning. And so showing her that she could overcome some of the fears and doubts that she had in herself, giving her that confidence, which can lead in any direction, right? She may not stay within beauty and soap making, but it could give her the confidence to go out and branch out and do other things. I think that's such an important part of teaching our kids about entrepreneurship. Yeah. So that's kind of how it started and how it's going. She has grown so much throughout the journey. So
I love it. And you actually stole my next question, which is, what is one intangible that came out of your child as a result of entrepreneurship? Because again, like I said earlier, it is warfare, but the war isn't against the competition. The war is against self-doubt and limiting beliefs and that kind of stuff. And you have to battle that every single day as an entrepreneur. So you said that courage and confidence came out of this experience. And so true. Even if she stopped being an entrepreneur today, she can go on to be president of the United States with that confidence that you helped her come out of that shell. Chanel, one intangible thing that happened as a result of teaching entrepreneurship that you didn't even expect to come out of this. We all want money to come out of a business, but there's other things that come out of businesses that we have no clue that we're going to receive.
One thing I've noticed that she learned is to manage her time. She's a very good time manager now. She creates her own schedule for her schoolwork, for her business, and for her social time. So she's learned how to be okay with saying no for right now to get a bigger yes later on.
Man, if we can teach them sacrifice, man, we will be in the game. Hey, let's not buy that pair of Jordans today, but let's do this instead. Every time you want a pair of Jordans, we're going to buy a share of Nike stock. And when the dividend grows to where we can buy a pair of Jordans every quarter, have at it, right? But they got to know sacrifice. Letitia, what is one thing that came out of this entrepreneurial journey with you and your baby that you didn't expect?
I think for us, because she is so young, one of the main things that has come out is just her ability to speak openly with adults. As children, a lot of times we're taught, when adults are speaking, you're quiet. But for her, it just makes her more comfortable and confident in speaking with adults. Her interviews are mostly with adults. So
Gotcha.
I think that has helped her tremendously.
And I love that because you are so right. We have so much traditionalism that's killing our kids and that's killing our community. That being one of them. When grown folks are talking, you hush, right? I want to say something else, but this is a family show. And that's backwards because most of their interactions in the world is with adults. But I don't know how to properly communicate with an adult. So not only do I get taken advantage of, not only am I crawling into my shell every time an adult opens their mouth. If something happens out of line, I'm not confident enough to bring that back to my parents and say, hey, listen, I had this conversation and it started going, it's crazy. So I love that speaking to adults and that confidence and speaking because words are powerful, man. And you got to control your narrative, especially that story that you tell to yourself over and over every day. Jennifer, Rico, what came out of Rico's entrepreneurial journey that you didn't realize was going to happen to him?
Well, he learned the importance of making connections and building community. Rico's an only child. So when we started going out to different events and pop-ups and stuff, he would make friends with the person next door. And that would be, he would say, oh, and my friend sells, I don't know. But it was a great thing that he was able to connect with people much more than before.
Man, I love that. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says one of the 7 forms of wealth is your network, your connections. And again, that's something that we don't teach. That's something that we're not taught, how to make and nurture connections in a way that they are based on service and benefiting one another. That's amazing, man. I wish I'd have learned to network. I was a guy who never talked to anybody and was so quiet and reserved. It's funny that I just looked at my stats from YouTube. I have over 1,500 videos on YouTube. It's crazy. But put me in a room full of people and you can find me somewhere in the corner in the recesses of my own mind. I am more comfortable there than I am having a conversation. I'm okay having a conversation now, but I was that kid, man, who everybody thought was weird because I wouldn't talk. But Arriel, one of the benefits that came out of this whole journey with you and Mikey and I know AJ is just kind of getting into it, but what do you see happening in his life that you didn't expect?
I see more of the personal growth and keeping that entrepreneurial mindset and staying on that track. So as he's creating new things and new ideas, he's very creative. But when we taught him that, okay, you have to have structure to business and not just all of these ideas. I saw him start thinking out the different things and seeing how they relate to each other. And then how can I add this without doing more work and making this thing work for me? So we've been able to see him grow from just doing what he does to start teaching what he does. And now he's looking to monetize it. So just watching that process is like, well, he probably will never have a job. Like his mind that he will never work for somebody else because he's going to keep creating things. And in his mind, because of that generation, he's going to hire people with degrees to do the work for him.
Yeah, man, listen, he is officially unemployable. I love it. And man, just think about what you guys all said. Right? If you think entrepreneurship is not the way to go for your children, we have critical thinking, we have networking, we have communication, we have time management, we have courage and confidence. Tell me what kid don't need all of that. Tell me what kid don't need an upgrade in all of those areas in their life, and how does your kids get them? Through the practice and participation in entrepreneurship. It ain't about making a whole lot of money, y'all. It's about the journey, right? It's about be, do, have. You have to become, then you do, then you have, right? They say the average 9 out of 10 businesses fail. Well, I say start 10 businesses and one of them gonna pop. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go real quick. Arriel, then back around. Final thought. What would you say to a mom or a dad who's got a kid who's got that entrepreneurial spirit and they don't know where to go? One word you give them to help encourage or bring that out of their kid.
Start where you are. Just start.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Jennifer.
Believe in your child's vision.
Love it. Love it. Letitia.
Get support.
Woo-wee. As a professional coach and mentor, I love to hear that. Yes, get some help, y'all. Hire your boy to get you over the hump. No, Chanel.
Join the community.
Yeah, love it, Anissa.
Pray for direction.
That's it, man. That's it. It's already there. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna end, and we'll wrap this thing up. I often talk about the acorn versus the human being, right? Both of us, believe it or not, everything that the acorn needs to become an oak tree is already in the acorn. The only thing it needs to be is in the right environment. The same is true for human beings. Everything that we need to be the highest expression of who we are is already in us. We just need to be in the right environment. Here's the difference, and here's the advantage that we have over the oak tree. Once the oak tree is planted, if it's planted in the wrong environment, it can only grow but so far. It cannot get up and move and change its environment. We can. Not only can we move and change our environment, we can actually create the right environment around us. Now, here's the advantage that the oak tree has that over us. An oak tree doesn't know how to grow halfway. An oak tree doesn't know how to grow halfway. You put an oak tree in the right environment, it's trying to reach the sun. You can put a human being in the right environment and it's going to grow so far, and its friends are going to say, oh, you're a little bougie now because you got a little success. And that human being is going to say, okay, this must be as far as I can grow. So learn the lesson from the acorn and the oak tree, people, and get your kids started in entrepreneurship. Ladies, it has been so fun. We've got some great comments. So please go back and read the comments and interact with those guys because they love you guys. Till we talk to you guys next time, I want you to get your money up because you absolutely can do it. But more importantly, you deserve to do it, each and every single one of you. So hustle up. But you've got to overcome fear if you're going to win.
You're tuned into the Cortez Hustle Show. Please like and subscribe.